All right.
That music.
Oh no, we got an awesome microphone. We like to do the editing later. In fact, I mean, I think it's more casual sometimes. Just let it roll.
Yeah,
and people know like, oh, this wasn't rehearsed or anything.
No.
So I met you both last night at the event with Judge Napolitano and Colonel McGregor, and I was really touched by your story about what happened to your family in Gaza. If you guys could just introduce yourselves and tell us where your family's from, and what you guys are about.
So I'm Constantine Pandolfi. I have the Order of St. George the Great Martyr. I'm Italian and Greek. I live in Connecticut in the United States. And this is Emily Dabini, who's our Director of Current Events.
I'm a Palestinian Christian, and I came to the U.S. Um, escaping all the occupation, persecution in my homeland. I was raised in the Christian quarter of Jerusalem, but I also have relatives in Gaza.
Gotcha. How long have your relatives in Gaza lived there for?
Their whole life.
Their whole life,
Yeah.
even like their
Generations
parents. Wow.
and generations.
Gotcha,
Yes,
gotcha.
there's one of our relatives have documented. He was a historian to the history of many emperors, and
Oh, wow.
like my aunt sent me a photo of how Greek families, Greek dignitaries used to come to Gaza to the San Porphyrius Church and get married there. It was like a wedding destination place back in the day.
Yeah, we don't hear about that here. We just hear about war and conflict. How is this? Because we hear a lot about like what's happening to Muslims in Gaza, but we almost never hear anything about like the Christians that live there. And I think part of that is like intentional to control
It
the
is,
narrative.
yes.
So if you could tell us more like what's been going on with your family like these last 2 years that they've been there.
Well, I mean, I can tell you what's been going on from before October. It's Christians are erased from the picture. We don't exist to anyone. Like Americans, when they meet me and I say I'm a Palestinian Christian, they're like, "Oh, we thought Muslims killed all of you." Like, no, we exist. The media keeps us out because they want to make it about religion. Like, they want to make it sound like it's a religious war,
Yeah.
but really, it's not. It's about taking over the land. My grandfather's village is Taibe, outside Ramallah. 100% of the residents there are Christians.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
One
The
of the
whole
very
town, wow.
one of the very few last Christian villages left. And constantly, I'm going to tell you, before October of 2023,
Yes,
there
please
has
do.
been attacks on the residents because it's all olive land and grapevine landscape. So there's beautiful hills, and Israeli settlers see that as prime real estate, and they have been intimidating and attacking the people in the village nonstop, even before October 2023. I have documented events, over 20 events, from January 2023 till October 2023 of several attacks on different churches.
How many events?
Over 20
20
events,
So 20
incidents.
events of Israeli settlers attacking Christian Palestinians in the West Bank, not even in Gaza,
Even
before
in
October
Israel,
7th?
even in Israeli territories, they went after Mar Ilyas.
What is that?
It's a historical church in Haifa. They spray painted, decimated. This is where the saint is buried.
Israelis are desecrating churches within actual Israel too?
Yes.
And they also discriminate against Israeli Palestinian Christians. Like Emily is an Israeli citizen as well.
Oh, I see.
Because I was born on the
Gotcha.
1948 Palestinian territory, so
even
I'm
Israeli
considered
citizens who Christian are because
Yes.
they keep telling us everything is equal and perfect and all. But what's the Israeli? Maybe that's a few bad actors within the Israeli society. What's the government? Do they try to crack down and fix any of this? Have you seen rhetoric from their officials to try to lower this stuff?
Have you seen the viral videos of how they attack the Israeli Arab Knesset members?
Yeah.
During their government meetings, like how we hold Congress here in the United States.
They
So they have
physically
Knesset.
escort them out, like manhandle them out.
They
of the Knesset.
physically.
Well, that doesn't sound like equal
assault
rights
them.
or democracy to me. I mean,
They physically assault them. You have viral videos about this all over the internet.
Arab Palestinian Christian citizens of Israel have a second-tier status within Israeli society. On paper, they have equal rights with Jewish Israelis, but in reality and practice, they don't.
Yeah. So from what I've been told, is Israel like if you have Jewish ancestry, you can like come there and become a citizen. Now, let's say you're an Israeli Christian, are you able to like sponsor your family members to come to Israel and get citizenship?
No, so that's what happened with my brother. He married a wonderful lady from Jordan, and she had 2 children who were born in Nazareth, and she still does not have an Israeli citizenship. They do not grant her. She has residency, but not a citizenship. So she's not able to get the same rights as someone from New Jersey who could just claim his grandmother was Jewish and just show up, and they'll give them all kinds of benefits.
See, a lot of people have this misconception that the issue is only in Gaza. Now, me personally, I thought it was just Gaza and West Bank. But now you're telling me in Haifa, actual Israel, churches are being vandalized and Arab members of the Knesset are being dragged out?
Even this year, during Holy Week, the Orthodox Christian Holy Week, the Orthodox Church controls the single most important shrine in Christianity, which is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. it's in a custodialship between the Catholics and the Orthodox and the Ethiopian Orthodox churches.
Sure.
But the Orthodox Church controls the vast majority of it. All the holy sites in the Holy Land that are Christian are under the care, custodialship of the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem, under the patronage of the King of Jordan. Even during Pascha, which is our Easter, they were beating up Christians trying to get into East Jerusalem.
They beat up
spitting
priests.
on them, kicking
Who
them.
was doing this?
IDF soldiers, other
Police, Israeli police, they stop us.
citizens.
The police and the soldiers are beating. That's, you know, people say like there's things like
They
riots.
actually pulled out a gun on a priest.
Yeah,
They
there's a
they
video of that.
pushed and shoved. There's several videos over the years.
The
Also,
thing is,
not
like when people are like when there's riots, like people just beating people up, citizens on citizens. But when the actual state is involved too, that's a pogrom. You basically just described a pogrom to me, where the military and the police, instead of trying to break this apart, they're actually participating. Is this what's happening?
they're going after priests. There's several videos that you can see on YouTube even before of October 2023, attacking actual priests. There's one where they manhandled an Assyrian priest, grabbing him by the legs and arms and removing him from the Holy Sepulchre Church where Jesus is buried. They removed a priest.
Why is the Israeli government doing this? Why don't they understand like it's better to just keep things calm? Like I don't. What's their rationale for this antagonism?
They want to chase us out. They want our land. They want our
Well, they want everyone's land in that area.
right,
That
right.
seems to be the,
But the thing is about Christians, we have proof of our history in the Holy Land.
I see.
The church in my grandfather's village is from the 4th century, Taipei. So, do you want to talk about that church? So they tried to burn it down.
Who's they exactly?
The
It's
Israeli
settlers.
settlers.
It's Israeli
They literally
settlers.
surrounded the town. It's as Emily had said previously.
Where's the IDF? Why are they not stopping?
No,
this? Because
they're
they encourage it.
escorted.
This is a
They're
pogrom. This is a
escorted.
pogrom.
They encourage it. So when the settlers go into Palestinian lands, it's usually 12, 13, 20, all the way up to like 19-year-olds. It's not
Teenagers.
even adults. It's armed, rebellious teenagers that are going
They
into.
give them machine guns and say go.
That's the other thing. When you go to
I've seen this.
Jerusalem, I don't know if you've ever been,
I've been.
but when you go there, you see Israelis carrying submachine guns, and these are the men pushing baby carriages, women with their tote bags.
At
But
the
a Christian
beach in
Arab,
flip-flops with a
you
machine
can't
gun.
have a gun.
Really?
Only Jewish citizens of Israel.
So you
can
got like a
carry automatic
two-tier
weapons.
system of laws for one group
Exactly.
versus the other. Let's go to Gaza, because that's really where a lot of people are suffering. Like I've been to the West Bank, it's bad, but from what we've seen in Gaza, I mean, this is just like, to me, I call it genocide.
It
Or
is.
ethnic
It is.
cleansing. I mean,
There's no mincing of words with it.
yeah,
It
because
is pure
people
genocide.
are saying, well, they haven't done it yet. They haven't killed everyone yet. I'm like, I don't think we should wait. Can you tell me about your community? What's happening to them there?
So our relatives have basically been all chased out, and a lot of the same family have lost over 20 members when they bombed St. Porphyrius Church. That's the 3rd oldest church in the world.
That's in Gaza.
In
Gaza.
Gaza.
A church in Gaza. See, many people don't know that. They're surprised. How many churches are in Gaza?
Well, the ones that are left that Israel has not destroyed so far, we only have 2.
How much was in
But
total?
there used to be a lot more. The Baptist church was also, it's connected to the Baptist hospital, and they destroyed
That was the first one. That was bombed a week before St. Porphyrius was bombed.
Why are they targeting churches?
Because there's a lot that people think it's safe, and there's a lot of families that hide in the church because it's a war crime to attack a church.
Yes.
So, yeah, because they targeted the part of San Porphyrius where all the people were sleeping, but not where all the relics are, because they're planning on looting that later.
Wow.
So if they have
They've
the
been strategic in their
intelligence,
crimes.
they have and they also have been targeting several times. They targeted this church several times. They targeted the Rosary school, the Rosary Sister School. That's the Catholic compound where there's orphans. They target the parts where there's orphans.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily the church building that's been hit, although that has been damaged. There's holes and things.
Sure.
You know, because these bombs are very strong. When I was talking to Archbishop Alexios, who's the Greek Orthodox Archbishop of all of Gaza, and the predominant number of Christians in Gaza are Orthodox Christian, the minority are Catholic. And when the war started, it was almost like wherever you were in the Gaza Strip, whatever church you were closest to, that's where you went. Majority of them went to the Church of St. Porphyrius. There was originally about 600 people who were seeking refuge there, and it wasn't just Christian; it was also Muslim families too. Because, like Emily had said, it's a war crime to attack a place of worship. But also, mosques have been completely toppled and destroyed.
Yes.
Churches, universities, schools. It was they bombed the Orthodox Christian Cultural Center of Gaza, and when they bombed St. Porphyrius, it was the compound. They destroyed the Archbishop's car, and they leveled the social hall where 2 stories pancaked on top of each other, and the only ones that were able to survive were in the part that was like this, in that space, and they didn't die. But 22 people died, and there was not even a single apology.
I'm just baffled by their actions, because it seems like they just bombed everywhere in Gaza, and you would think from as a PR perspective they would try to avoid the Christian areas, but they just act with complete impunity. They just don't seem to care at all. Like I remember you showed me a video last night. There was a Christian area in Gaza. I didn't even know this existed.
That was from her cousin.
Oh,
That was
yeah,
from your cousin.
that's for, yeah.
It
Well,
looked like the rest of Gaza.
Rimal was one of the most beautiful neighborhoods. If I show you what it looked like before, you guys can see it on Muntasir Tarazi. He's one of, he's my cousin's cousin.
Gotcha.
So if you follow him, you will see he posts videos from before and after. It used to look like Beverly Hills.
Wow.
Rimal is one of the most beautiful, beautiful neighborhoods, completely destroyed because they want to erase the history. Remember, one of the people that they killed out of that family, like I said, he's a historian. He documented emperors coming to Gaza. He had the photos, and now we don't know what happened to these photos.
How many Christians live in Gaza? Or how many
Now?
did before?
Right now?
Before and after?
It used to be
Before it was over
thousands
1,000,
before.
well over 1,000, and then now there's probably close. I want to say 600. It depends. It's
Wow.
really hard to say because we don't know
A
how
lot
many
of them
have
have
left.
died.
And the ones that have left, like Emily said last night, were left to Australia. They were given diplomatic. I don't know if it was diplomatic passports necessarily, but they were given special permissions to leave. But who's going to go back there? Who's going to continue the Christian presence there? And what we're trying to do is sustain the Christian presence in Gaza, across the Holy Land, across the Middle East. And even Archbishop Alexio said to me, he said, I will remain in St. Porphyrios.
Wow.
I am not leaving.
They refuse to leave.
Because if they leave, it means death.
It means the end. They will loot the churches. They will take
So
everything.
he's making his last stand.
His last stands in the
He's-
church.
You know,
And he talks to us, he's crying on the phone. And I just want to,
You can't picture the
they can
churches
smell
going away.
death. Like it's they bomb the streets to weaken the foundations of the buildings, so the buildings collapse. I mean, there are the people who didn't go to the church that stayed in their house. They're dead, decomposing in the rubble, and they can smell the rotting flesh of the deceased in the air.
yeah, no, we've seen.
So
the
I mean,
videos.
it's not, even though they're safe, just the psychological trauma that the children who are 2, 3, there's 40 orphans in the church.
I know. Justin.
And where are they going to go?
No, I
when the
understand.
IDF sends them to Rafah?
Yeah.
And where are
There's
they going to go?
nowhere-
Who's going to
And
take care of
they're
those children?
Nowhere safe. I know a congressman, Justin Amash. I don't know if you know of him.
He's the cousin to Tawfiq, who is the secretary to Archbishop Alexis.
Two of his cousins were killed in Israeli airstrikes in
Yeah.
Gaza.
Yeah, that's at that church.
That's the same. He,
That's the
yeah,
same
he
incident.
died with our.
You know, people are still saying like, oh, it's not a genocide. It's not a genocide. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, I think it is. But if you look at your community in particular, you're telling me at this point 50% of you have been displaced or killed. I don't understand how you can be a Christian and not think this is a genocide against Christians. Like, I don't.
It's a genocide against a whole people. And the Israeli government, they don't distinguish between Muslim Palestinian, Christian Palestinian. To them, any Palestinian is the enemy. And it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
They dehumanized us to the point where
Or they're
people
animals.
don't see us as
Yeah.
like when I say I'm Palestinian, I'm nobody to them. It doesn't matter you're Christian,
Doesn't matter what the
Muslim.
religion is.
There's also Baha'is.
Mhm.
There's also Durzi.
Mhm.
You know, there's different religions.
Yeah.
This is not just
No, I
about
understand.
Christianity and
No,
Judaism.
for sure. I just try to empathize with you guys' position. Like, because a lot of Muslims are like really like frustrated about what's happening in Gaza. But I can't even imagine how Christians feel. Like, America is a Christian majority country.
We feel
We pay
They don't
taxes. We pay taxes here. Christians, I'm not Christian, but you guys are paying taxes here, and that money is being used to kill Christians by sent to another government. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, I can't imagine your outrage.
the Christians are I always like to say, we're the tiny fish that are gobbled up by the big fish. Unfortunately, in the Middle East, and not just in Gaza, but in Syria, Iraq, I mean, we're the little fish that are gobbled up by the big fish. We're essentially collateral damage.
Well, I understand. My frustration is, I'm sure you guys probably share the same. You live in a Christian majority country that's funding it. It's one thing for it just to be happening on its own there. With
And
all
it's
these
like
bad
they're
groups.
blind to it. Like they don't want to open their eyes and see.
That's why I'm talking to you guys.
Not only that. So Israelis consider evangelical religion illegal
Really?
Yet the evangelicals in this country are the biggest supporters of the state of
They,
Israel.
besides our tax
Interesting.
dollars, the billions of dollars that we give them in tax dollars, the Israelis come and fundraise and have all kinds of events with evangelicals to hoard money from them and say, you know, let's get rid of everybody so that Christianity can.
Why are we allowing this? Like, why don't? Because I mean, I don't have as much discourse and talking with different Christians. And when you speak to these evangelicals, what are their response to you?
That Israelis are the chosen people by God, which is
And that they have a biblical command to support the state of Israel.
But you guys are reading the same book, so how are they saying this?
Because they distort it.
they manipulated the Bible was rewritten and manipulated in a way to convince, you know, that's why evangelicals are different from Catholics and
Yes,
Greek
yes,
Orthodox. It's literally they designed this what is the Bible Russian I need to think of the name. But it's a specific Bible that they rewrote for that.
I think you mean the Schofield Bible.
The Schofield,
I've been hearing
that's
about this.
the
Yeah,
one.
I've been
Yes, the
reading a bit about this as
Schofield
well.
Bible.
They pick and choose which books
Yeah.
and scriptures that they want to highlight.
Yeah.
The frustration that I think me and Emily have is even within, you talk about America funding this war.
Mhm.
As we said, there's the Orthodox Church of St. Porphyrios in Gaza, and then there's the Church of the Holy Family, which is the Catholic Church.
Yes.
Okay. Two things about this. It wasn't until the Catholic Church was targeted, and that didn't kill anybody, it just hit the cross, that world condemnation came in support of Catholic Christians.
This
Not
is after the Orthodox.
after
Okay, I
the
see.
Orthodox. Yet the
This
Orthodox,
was a few months ago.
yeah, yet the Orthodox have been being killed off. First airstrike killed 22. You didn't have the condemnation of the world. Even though the Orthodox Christians are the majority in the Gaza Strip of the Christians, we were an afterthought. But when the Catholics got targeted, then the world started to pay
Interesting.
attention. So we feel, even within the Christianity, we feel there's a bit of a double-edged, like a double standard here.
I see.
But the thing is, the Christian community, whether Orthodox or Catholic, they rely on each other. They
Yes,
cannot be
yes.
one without the other.
Of course.
They help each other with food, with water, with whatever kind of medical capabilities that they have for, whatever prescriptions that they might have hoarded in between wars.
Sure.
And there are Orthodox Christians in the Church of the Holy Family and vice versa.
Mhm.
Catholics in the Church
Sure,
of the Holy Family and the Church of St. Porphyrius. But the thing that frustrates me and Emily in our organization, and I think a lot of Orthodox Christians and even Catholic Christians, is in the Trump administration, you have President Trump, who's Christian.
Mhm.
I think he's
Claims he's
I think he's a
Mhm.
Presbyterian Christian. You have J.D. Vance, the Vice President, who's Roman Catholic.
Mhm.
You have Marco Rubio, who's the Secretary of State, who's Roman Catholic.
Mhm.
Where's their condemnation of what's happening to the Christians in Gaza? Where's their condemnation of what's happening to
That's a
the
good
the
question.
Catholic Church in Gaza? That's what frustrates us, because we have two people just there, the Vice President and the Secretary of State, who could really highlight this travesty. And is it fear that they don't want to speak up
I don't know.
against it? Is
It's
it?
APAC. It's APAC bankrolling them.
I give them the benefit of the doubt. I think maybe they're not aware.
I don't think that's possible.
No, no.
Not with Rubio,
It's
at
APAC.
least. Not JD.
I don't know.
Maybe Trump because he's much older. But
The
those
only
younger guys,
the only time, and I was very surprised, is when the situation happened in Taiwan, when they tried burning the Church of St. George and they were burning the olive groves. To his credit, Mike Huckabee came out and condemned what the Israeli settlers were doing. To me, I think that took a lot of, forgive me, balls to do
Well, a few times.
in Israel. But then after that, we haven't seen any condemning statements. That was the one and only time. But I give him credit for that.
yeah.
So-
I wish we could see more of that from Huckabee because recently he just keeps telling us that we're married to Israel and that we have to
Why?
do it.
Why? What does Israel give us? As
Wars.
Americans.
Would you like another war?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Iran, anybody?
How do
That's the next one on the
Americans
menu.
benefit? How do Americans are
And that's the
benefiting
question
from
we should be
Israel?
asking.
What are
Exactly.
what are we getting in return? Oh, they are our best allies. Really, they drag us into all these wars and they use our tax dollars to murder babies and commit genocide
That's the big
and
problem.
kill Christians with our tax dollars.
I mean, even just like you see these interviews from doctors, Western
insane.
doctors from France, from Australia, from the United States, and they talk of stories of 3-year-olds with a single gunshot wound to the temple of the head.
They were sniped.
Why?
They were sniped.
And also, it is a genocide because every single world organization has recognized that it is a genocide, and the United Nations and there's even an arrest warrant out for the defense, the ministers, and Netanyahu himself. So
And for
by
the
the
Hamas
international,
leadership too. They're very
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
across the board.
Yeah.
But for some reason we just don't seem to recognize the one that we're giving money to as a war criminal. So, the way I've seen this conflict is that people were against during the apartheid government in South Africa. Our government was one of the last ones still supporting it, but now looking back, we knew it was wrong. Vietnam, we were the ones supporting it to the very end. Looking back, we know it's wrong. Iraq and Afghanistan, looking back, we know it's wrong. I think in 20, 30 years, people are going to look back to this and we're going to be like, wow, I can't believe we funded a genocide. That's crazy. Because right now, you guys speaking up, now is a brave point. 20, 30 years, when everyone else is speaking up, go back and see what they were saying. See if
Yeah.
they were taking the stand right now, too, putting themselves out there.
And the thing is, like for me, I'm not Palestinian, but when we're talking to the people in Gaza, when we're talking to the people in the West Bank, when we're getting to know them and their families, and they're crying to us on the phone every day, every week. As I said last night, I'm in not daily contact, but weekly contact
Sure.
with the people in Gaza, and that's when they have internet. They're crying to us. They're like they're living in a hell that is worse than hell.
Yeah, we've seen this.
And none of us know when this is going to end, because every time there's a peace plan or something, it always falls apart, and it's just the nightmare starts all over again.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you in particular that, your family in Gaza, when they were there living all these years, did they ever have to worry about like Muslims blowing up their churches or attacking them?
Never.
How many
never.
churches have Muslims destroyed versus the IDF in Gaza? I would say.
I have never ever been stopped by Muslims to enter my church. The only people that stopped me from entering my churches were IDF soldiers with machine guns.
Wow.
Do you know
That
why?
is the only thing.
Why
My
is that?
whole experience.
Because in Islam, as you know,
Mhm.
Christianity, one is the people of the book, but unlike the Jews, the Muslims recognize Christ as the Messiah. They
Right on.
recognize him as the one who's going to judge the living and the dead in the end of time. They recognize the Virgin Mary in her virgin birth. So I feel that Christians are much closer to
Mhm,
Muslims
sure.
and vice versa, but further away connected from Judaism, which is the other third
Gotcha, I see.
monotheistic religion. So I think naturally between Christians and Muslims, there's almost like a brotherly
Makes
relationship.
Sense, yeah.
Not to say that there hasn't been their problems in history between
Of
Christians
course.
and Muslims, but in Palestine they see each other as brothers. They need them as much as they need us.
It makes sense because the Muslims would actually have an incentive to protect Christian holy sites.
Exactly.
Because to them, everywhere Jesus went is also
Exactly.
holy. You don't see that type of incentive for,
In the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, as I was saying, and the reason it's under the custodialship of the King of Jordan, which is the Hashemites, which descend from the Prophet Muhammad, is because even though the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is a Christian holy site, it's the main Christian holy site, it is also, I would say, after Mecca, Medina, and the Dome of the Rock, I would say it could be possibly the fourth holiest site for Muslims, because it's where Christ, who was the second prophet, they say, and you can correct me, Jesus was the best among men. I say,
Yes.
So
no,
second,
very important.
He's mentioned more in the Quran, Jesus, than Muhammad.
Absolutely.
There's a whole chapter in the Quran about Mary.
Yes, no, that's very true. I've also, because I don't, like you guys were saying, though, in the end, it's not really a religious conflict. Like, what's going on in Azerbaijan and Armenia, right? Like, Israel is funding Shiite Muslims to kill Christians and displace them. But no one says anything. Like, we're just seeing this ethnic cleansing. And people speak up on some Christians being persecuted in Africa, but no one speaks up about the ones that are happening in Gaza.
It's when it's convenient. And when it's to a political end.
That's exactly what it is.
The Congo genocide, fueled by an Israeli billionaire.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea
about
this.
Look it up.
Really?
Every coup in South America, who gave them weapons? Israel sold them weapons.
Israel sells a lot of weapons. Like the Azerbaijan stuff is crazy. The drones they gave them. And it's funny because you look at the conflict, like Iran is backing Armenia just because they don't like Azerbaijan helping Israel. So people who think like this is a religious conflict, they have lost the plot completely.
Yeah, it's not about religion. It's about controlling a narrative.
Yeah. It's just frustrating what I'm seeing. I thought I was frustrated as a Muslim watching America behave this way. But then when this is a Christian majority country, Christian taxpayers are funding Christians being killed. I can't even imagine. I guess it would be very similar to a lot of like Muslims living in Middle Eastern countries, and their kings and dictators are just watching and doing nothing. They're probably feeling the same way. Like just all the regular people, we're just all just sitting here, be like, "What?"
And to the credit, I think the King of Jordan, His Majesty King Abdullah II, he's done a lot for the Christians in Gaza. He's airlifted special packages. The Royal Jordanian military has airlifted and dropped aid.
I saw the video they did actually. That was one of the first videos of the destruction. I think it was from a Jordanian plane. They actually showed what was happening because before people were like, "It's fake, it's fake." I'm like, well, the Jordanians just took a video of the entire strip. So.
Why would the Jordanian king lie?
Yeah.
No. But Queen Rania is Palestinian.
I do not. Yeah.
So the crown prince is half Palestinian, half Jordanian, and Jordan is, I would say, you could say, the twin brother to Palestine.
A lot of Palestinians escaped in 1948 to Jordan. So yeah, I actually have family that lived there too.
Yeah. Constantine, why don't you tell us a bit about your organization before we wrap up?
Sure. So the Order of St. George, our main purpose is to sustain the Christian presence, not only within Gaza and the Holy Land, but across the entirety of the Middle East. So we help everything from individual Christians who might have medical problems or problems with paying rent or bills, all the way to those within a patriarchate like a bishop, or sustaining holy sites. So if there's a church that needs reconstruction or rebuilding, we try to help that as well. So so those are our main thing, and education.
Gotcha.
So we try to assist people with
what's your website? You have a website?
Our website is www.orderofstgeorge.org, and Saint is spelled out.
Orderofstgeorge.org. If you're a Christian, if you're anybody, you can take a look. You asked me if I could become a member. I'm not Christian. Is that okay? Can I still join?
You can still join.
So I would definitely take a look at this. I plan on joining.
It would be an honor to have you.
I plan on joining.
And really, because we feel that there's no voice for the Christians of the Middle East.
I agree with you.
And it's not, again, we're not purely pro-Palestinian, pro-Jordanian. What we're trying to do is sustain the Christian presence. The Middle East, without the Christians, would not be the Middle East.
I agree with you.
I mean,
100%.
we've served as advisors and viziers to sultans and kings. And
Christian Palestinians are the oldest bloodline of Christianity in the
They're
world.
the living stones.
Yeah, of course, 100%. No, I definitely agree with you because I think the persecution needs to stop. Also I forgot to mention, but I see Jewish people in Israel also being beaten up and persecuted by the Israeli government because they don't want to participate in this. So this Israeli government is not, I wouldn't even call it a Jewish state, honestly. They don't treat Jews
they
right.
hijacked the religion.
They hijacked the religion.
Zionism is completely different because if you really
100%.
look at the Jewish religion, there's two principles. One of them is called tikkun olam, which means to fix the world, and the other one is to save a soul.
Yeah.
And none of the Zionism is not practicing any of the major principles of Judaism,
that's
and it pisses off a lot of Jews. They're like, don't do this in my name.
Yeah. So I just hope Jews, Muslims, Christians, we can all just come together and stop this killing. At the very least, stop funding it. But but thank you for sitting here and talking with me.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate how knowledgeable you are.
I do what I can.
Honestly, like you're not asking ignorant questions.
I try to keep it interesting. But everyone, please go to orderofstgeorge.org. Everyone, take care.
Thank you.